on ABC Radio Darwin and the Northern Territory.
If you were doing a round-the-world trip on a yacht, where would you stop? Fiji, the Seychelles, the Bahamas? How about Darwin? That's exactly what Peruvian sailor Alec Hughes has done on his circumnavigation of the globe. And the best bit, it isn't even his first time doing so. Oop, I seem to have lost Alec there. Bear with me one tick. There's bound to be some teething issues today for my first program on ABC Radio Darwin and the Northern Territory. Alec, welcome to Darwin. What has made you decide to do this amazing round-the-world trip?
Because I was here 25 years ago doing it with my father, and I wanted to come back. And Darwin is a place that I really loved, like all over the world. It reminded me of Hawaii in a way. It reminds me a little bit of, I'm a really big fan of Australian music, rock music, different type of music of Australia. And I always love to look at all these people from Australia being really cool, very adventurous, really close to nature. And that's what the project just related to the ocean, right? So Darwin is some place I had a dream to coming back in around the world I just doing right now.
So when we say around the world, where have you been and how long have you been on this trip?
Really, we have to think that when you do around the world sailing, you have to be, normally in the tropics it's easier, so less storms. So you go from east to west. So from South America, you need to cross the Pacific. Just so you know, the Pacific Ocean is an ocean where you can fit all countries in the world. It's huge. It's 49% of the whole world. So it's part of being in the Pacific. But I learned Pacific cultures right before I got here. 25 years ago, I was in college in Hawaii and studied about the Pacific cultures and their connections with South America. And that's when I not only did a lot of sailing back home, got my boat and everything, but did a lot of racing. So every racer wants to sail around the world. Every hitchhiker or every tracker wants to go on Everest, or that's part of it. So you go east to west, really, in the Pacific, and that's what I love anthropology too. So I think there's a lot of things, even to try to demonstrate that Australians have been sailors for a long time, not only Indonesians, which you have here in the Maritime, the Natural Museum here. You have only Indonesian type of rig boats, which is beautiful. What about the Australians? What about maybe Aborigines? What about the people from here? Were they sailors? Of course they will, because even Cook has it in his books in the 18th century. And you know what I discovered here in Darwin? There's a Hughes Avenue. I'm Alec Hughes from Uruguay, so my ancestors were here, and he did the first road in Darwin. I discovered it in the waterfront the other day. I was walking there, took a picture for my documentary. So I'm documenting all this, and I already did a documentary. But I worked in something else for 25 years in corporations, in banking and software, so this is a different type of activity, to sail around the world and doing the research about traditional sailing, bringing your own balsa raft here too. So I have a balsa raft on top of the boat.
Yes, well, I was going to ask you about that because you're obviously from Peru, Alec, and you've got something very special on your sailboat that I understand when you're docking in places like Darwin, you are wanting to raise awareness about these sorts of boats. Can you tell me about them?
Sure. I'm going to tell you the story when I arrived in Polynesia, which is beautiful, one of the largest pearl farms in the world in the south of Tuamotus. This person from the Inca culture sailed to the Pacific, and there's a Te Ava Otupa legend for this guy coming from the east. I teach this to kids, and I show them what's the history, and I found out from chroniclers, the ones that have talked about Magellan and all the things we know, Torres Strait. Torres was a guy that left from Peru, from Callao, the same port as I did. So it's been hundreds of years after. This is the second time a Peruvian boat comes. So that's part of the story in a way, and kids get really, really connected. And I think that the world right now needs to start working with kids. Like, grown-ups are not going to change. You see what's happening in the world. And I think Darwin is a really good place where people they're from everywhere here. So it's a mix of Hawaii with part of Australia, it's a really nice place to be, really.
I am so curious, when you're not going through the motions of sailing, what does a day in your life look like? What do you get up to during the day on a sailboat on your own?
When I'm not sailing, normally I'm doing research of whales and cetaceans. So with the project, I'm trying to relate traditional sailing for kids and grown-ups, but kids in schools and everything, and they get them connected to conserve something. And that's related to whales and cetaceans because you see them all the time. I saw a part of dolphins here in Darwin 2 days ago. It was beautiful. If you relate that and you can investigate this during a normal day, it's not that I don't fish, but I try not to. So my perfect day is trying to get the information of the wildlife out there, birds, cetaceans and everything, and where, if it's an albatross or not, because they're really special, or there's other types of birds in Australia that you don't have anywhere in the world. So that's part of my day. Reading a lot and writing a lot, journaling a lot. The way you feel and the way these traditional sailors connected with the stars. They knew your Southern Cross, the ones you guys have in Australia, 3 or 4 fingers are 15 minutes every finger, and that's how they connected, knowing if they reach 20 south or 20 north, passing Polaris, looking at the North Star. So that's the way people connected, and that I'm trying to do the same thing, of course, in the modern boat. But what are the thoughts and what can we do for the community and for kids to relate to this, you know?
You're listening to ABC Radio Darwin and the Northern Territory. I'm Amelia Searson, and you are hearing from Peruvian sailor Alec Hughes, who has been sailing around the world and putting together a documentary about his experience. What are some of the main challenges that you face when you're out on the water?
25 years ago, the world was totally different. The storms were different. You can see the cloud, the cumulus clouds. You can see the change in the winds. Now, not only you cannot see them, but you can't predict them. Other than using good software, predict wind, and other software is really good, it changes all the time. It says it's going to be 20, 25 knots on the southeast, and then it changes to the north, and it's not in the report. So it's not only true, but I'm living it, and it's kind of scary, really. That's part of going around the world now. It's not that safe. And I have a thought always like there's land people and there's ocean people. Anybody from land can be an ocean people when they stand up paddle and do swim in the ocean, whatever. But the world is getting scary in a way. And even when you're sailing now, it's getting scary because you see how we've contributed as human beings, right? I mean, it's changing the patterns of winds. That's huge, other than the ice melting and everything. Okay.
Alec Hughes is a Peruvian sailor. He's travelling around the world on his sailboat, and he is just headed off from Darwin. It is 8 minutes to 11.